What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to another video and to the channel. So for this video, I just kind of wanted to talk a bit about my BMW F30 335i in terms of all of the things that are wrong with this car. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I find myself, when I see other people's builds on YouTube and on Instagram, and they post pictures and stuff, I tend to think, that their car is really clean and it looks really good and it's pretty much perfect in those pictures, because that's what it seems like when I look at the pictures. And then some of these people have, posted that, that their cars are not actually perfect and there's quite a few defects on them and things that are wrong with them. So since I post this car a lot on Instagram and on here in my YouTube videos, I feel like some of you may think that this car is pretty much perfect. It doesn't have any sort of defects or anything or blemishes, and everything functions properly on this car. I just want to let you guys know that this car is not perfect. It definitely has defects and blemishes and stuff that is wrong with it that make it not perfect. So I wanted to share all of those things with you guys in this video. Now, most of these things are pretty minor things and not really noticeable until you really look at the car in person. I know in the pictures, like I said, it looks really clean, like it doesn't have any sort of defects or anything around the exterior of the car. But there definitely is, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys everything that is wrong with this car. So here I have my BMW F30 335i 2014, and as you guys can see, it is pretty modified, and obviously those of you who've been following the channel and following this build know all of the things I've done to this car. I have done quite a bit of performance mods, exterior mods, and interior mods. But anyway, this video is not about the mods, it is about all of the defects and blemishes and everything that is wrong with this car. Now, I am filming outside in this little abandoned business building next to a kind of main street, so it may get kind of noisy, so sorry about that. But I needed some outside space in the sunlight so I can show you guys everything on the car. So starting off with the front of the car here, if we walk up to the bumper on the left side here, you can see there is a little dent and some cracks in the paint right here around. And that is here because I actually got into a little fender bender right after I had the front bumper repainted, because for those of you who've been following, obviously you know that the bumper was in really bad shape when I first bought the car, so I had it repainted. But like a month after I got it repainted, I ended up rear-ending someone, just a little accident. I kind of wasn't paying attention, and that accident caused this right here. I have looked into getting it repainted again, because that's what I have to do to get rid of this. I can't just fix this part, I have to get the whole bumper repainted. I was going to do it initially, but then I realized you really can't tell unless you're like really up close to the car. From far away you can't really tell, so I figured it wasn't really that big a deal for me to fix at the moment, so I figured I'd just fix it later down the road and get the bumper repainted and all that. And obviously I haven't done it yet, so that is my first little blemish here on the front of the car. My next little defect is right here. I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, but it looks like the paint kind of peeled off right there. I'm not sure how that got there, but I'm assuming it happened when they repainted the bumper initially before I got this little mark there. They just kind of messed up and missed a spot or something. It didn't really stick that well to the bumper, but again, very small, and you can't tell unless you get up close to it. From far away you're not going to be able to notice that, so it didn't really bother me. Now moving up to the hood here, for those of you who may not know, this is a GTS hood. It is not the stock original hood. This is an aftermarket hood that has the GTS style, and I haven't gotten it painted or paint matched white because I liked how this dark color looked, because it makes the hood stand out and just overall makes the car stand out on the road rather than it just looking like every other car with the same color hood. So I figured I'd keep it this way for a little bit, but since I decided to do that, I ended up wrapping it satin black and just some satin black wrap that I ordered online. And I wrapped it myself, and this was pretty much the first time I wrapped this big of a piece of a car, and I didn't do it. I did it okay overall, I'd say, for my first time. It came out pretty good, but if you kind of come up close here in the sun reflection, you can see where like the wrap, it kind of got stretched out from when I heated it up and used the squeegee to apply it. So I don't know if you can see it on camera, but maybe right here you can kind of see it. But there's like little lines where it kind of looks like it's stretched out, and it's kind of, the color kind of lightened up. It's not as dark because I stretched it out too far when I heated it up. You can see right there also, kind of. So that's one thing about the wrap. And then this piece right here, I kind of cut it or pulled it or stretched it too far, and it broke and tore. There's one on that side and one on this side right there. So that's one thing about the wrap. Still overall looks good. You're not gonna really notice those things unless you walk up close to it. So yeah. And then also right here, originally I was gonna put the vents, that plastic piece right here, but it actually doesn't fit because my intake is too big and it doesn't clip in all the way, so I just left it without. But as you can see there, the wrap also kind of tore because I heated it up and stretched it too far, but didn't really bother me. By the way, as you guys might be able to see on camera, that the car is kind of dirty. I haven't washed it, and it rained the last time I drove this car, and I just didn't wash it yet, so sorry for it not looking that clean, but oh well. Now moving along to the front wheels here. If you guys look closer right there, you can see that it is rubbing against the fender right here because these tires are too wide. So whenever I go over dips and stuff, it rubs, and I can hear it inside the car. It just sounds like a scratching noise, and it's leaving a mark on the tire. I plan to get new front tires that were smaller so it wouldn't rub. I just haven't done it yet because there's so much tread life on these, and I didn't want to just get new tires when these still are, you know, have a lot of life in them. So I just haven't done that yet. I don't know if I ever will. I do want to get new wheels, so whenever that time comes, I'll definitely get smaller wheels so this doesn't rub. But that's one issue, or one little thing that's kind of annoying, but I just kind of deal with it. It hasn't really bothered me that much, and it's rubbing on both sides, this side and the other side over here, as you can see there. The rear actually doesn't rub at all, even though it looks like it's closer, but it barely just clears, so it doesn't rub. Now moving along to the side of the car here, you can look at the paint has kind of been rubbed off right there along that panel, quarter panel. And this whole like area of the car, all of this here, in certain lights you can tell that it was repainted at some point because it doesn't have the same glossy finish as the rest of the car. It has that more, I don't know how to describe it, but it's just less glossy in this area compared to this area over here and the rest of the car. You can just tell that it's been repainted at some point. I'm not sure why or how, because when I bought this car, the Carfax said that there was an accident, or it did receive some damage, but only in the rear end of the car. The front bumper was damaged, but that was it. It didn't say anything about there being any damage over here, but it may have just been maybe a scratch or something, but they had to redo the whole thing. I don't know. But yeah, that is one thing that you may notice that's wrong. It doesn't match with the rest of the paint, but it's really not that noticeable unless you really look at it in certain sunlight. Let's see, I don't know if you can tell here. I'll go to the other side. You can't really tell, I don't know, on camera. You'd have to see it in person, but it doesn't look, the finish doesn't look the same in this area. So that's one thing about the paint there. And you can see also there's like a little tiny dent right there. I don't know if you can see it on camera. Very minor, but that's there. And you can see here there's more damage to the paint. I have hit this door on my garage wall a couple times, so I'm pretty sure that's what this is right here. But the paint has come off a little bit. There's also a little paint chip right there. Probably because this thing was repainted at some point. It isn't the factory paint. But that's about it for this side over here. Also, I do have a little bit of curb rash right here on this wheel. Now, I didn't do this, the previous owner did, because I bought them used from somebody and it already had this curb rash when I got it. So that's one little thing about the wheels. All the other wheels don't have any curb rash, so it's just this one. Now, moving along to the rear end of the car here. If we look up close to the spoiler, you can see there are some marks here. The outline of what once was my previous spoiler, the P-style performance spoiler that I had on the car when I first bought it. It came with the car already, on the car, and I took it off so I could put this Sia style spoiler. But when I took it off, it left these like marks and some chips there. I'm not sure what it is or how to get it off. Maybe you guys can offer some suggestions, but as you can see there, it's on both sides. So that is kind of an annoyance, but hasn't bothered me too much, but I do notice it, and you will notice it if you look at this car in person. Now, moving down here to the rear bumper. Now, the car is kind of dirty, so you can't really see it, but there are some scratches right here. You can see it right there. And it doesn't really look that clean around the tow hook cover right here. So there's just like a bunch of like little scratches and like abrasions on this part of the bumper right here. You can't really see it on camera because it's dirty, but yeah, there are some scratches there on the paint. And you can see right here also there's another little scratch. And that should be it for the rear end of the car. It's not here anymore, but there used to be a pretty bad dent right there. I had someone remove it last summer, I believe. There are still a couple dents right here on the wheel fender well outline, whatever it's called. There's one right there. I don't know if you can see it on camera. It's very minor, not really that big, but it's there. And then right here, when I open the door, this piece isn't secure, it moves. I'm not sure what happened there, but regardless, when the door closes, it doesn't move because this piece is pressing on it, so it's not going to flap or move or anything. So it didn't really bother me there, and I rarely ever open this door, so not really that big of a deal. If you come down here, there's a little paint chip right there on the side skirt. Very small, really not that big of a deal. Yeah, just overall, just a little bit of scratches on the paint, but I mean, that's normal after a few years of this car being on the road. So, oh, there's a scratch right here also, kind of a bad one. And if you go up to the mirror right here, you can see there is something going on right here. There's a bunch of scratches. I'm not sure what happened right here, but something was like scraping right there, and then like the paint, there's like a white paint mark there. I'm not sure what that is, honestly. So but that's there, and that's a little defect that this thing has. That was there when I first bought the car, so I'm not sure how that even got there. And then also right here, I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, but there's like some marks. I'm not exactly sure what this is or how it got there, but there's looks like what feels like tape or dried on tape or dried on something right there. I haven't really tried to get it off because I don't want to mess it up even more, so I just kind of left it there. But that is one little defect on the paint on this side. Now moving along to the interior of the car, this has to do with my mirrors. So as you guys know, I have some carbon fiber mirror caps that I had to install along with LED turn signals. You guys can see them right there. And that required me to remove this mirror piece from the inside, like pry this out from the inside here. And I think when I did that, I damaged the electronic mechanism, the motor or whatever that allows you to adjust it using the buttons right here. So this side doesn't work anymore whenever I try to adjust it. It's like I'm pressing it, but I'm pressing it down, but it's not moving or anything. It doesn't go anywhere. So I have to do it manually by hand by just pressing on it and making sure I have the right angle and all that. The other side still works though, as you guys can see, but it is kind of, it doesn't work as good as it did before I installed the mirror caps and removed that mirror piece. But it still works, so that's good. So yeah, not really that big of an annoyance, but that's one thing that doesn't work on this car anymore. Another little defect I have is this little piece right here in front of the iDrive screen. This little, I don't even know what it is, but I'm assuming it got too hot right here and it's kind of peeled back. So yeah, that's one little defect, blemish on the interior here. Now moving along to the engine bay here. Now I don't have really that many issues with this engine, nothing major that is. This engine has been running great with no major issues at all. I'm very grateful that nothing has happened yet. But I do have a few leaks in typical BMW fashion. I have an oil leak around the oil pan gasket, and I think I have a coolant leak somewhere around the turbo, but it's a very slow leak, so I haven't really done anything with it. But I am planning to at some point to replace the gasket. Now the only thing that I think may be a minor issue with the engine in terms of its performance and functionality and its ability to run without any issues or noises or anything, there is a small noise, what sounds like maybe a loose rod bearing or something that's like rattling inside the engine whenever I rev up to a certain RPM. I think it's around 3,000, 4,000 RPM. There's like a little rattling if I just hold it there. And I'll go ahead and show you guys what that sounds like. So I honestly couldn't really hear it when I just tried to rev it just now, maybe because the engine's hot and all the oil is up to operating temperature, but I have noticed that it's louder when I just start the car, and obviously the engine's still cool, so maybe everything hasn't expanded yet, so there is still some space for some stuff to rattle and move around. But once everything expands from the heat, there's no space, so that's why I didn't hear it just now. But I'll try to get a clip of what it sounds like when I just start the car, so you guys can get an idea of what I'm talking about. Alright you guys, so I tried to get some clips after filming the first part of the video here of the sound, like the rattling sound from the engine, but for some reason, whenever I went to go try and film it, I did not hear any rattling. So I'm not sure why it wasn't doing it anymore. I was pretty certain that the engine would make this noise usually when it's cold and I first start the car and I rev up to around 2,500 RPMs. but for some reason when I went to actually try and film it, I didn't hear it. So I was not able to capture the sound of this rattling so you guys could hear. It seems like it just kind of went away as soon as I needed to, you know, film it. I'm not sure what's going on there, but yeah, so I just wanted to let you guys know and not leave you guys hanging. So anyway, I'll get back to the end of the video here. So that is about it for all of the things that are wrong with this car. Like I mentioned, these are very minor, small things that aren't really that big of a deal. But regardless, these are things that make this car not perfect and have defects and blemishes. As most cars do that you see on Instagram, other people who mod their cars and post them, most of them have little blemishes and defects like these. So if you think your car doesn't really look that good, or you're always wondering how do people have such clean cars, they most likely have stuff like this that make it not perfect, but in pictures obviously it just looks really good. So that is about it, you guys. Those are all of the imperfections that are on my BMW F30 that make it imperfect. Despite what you guys see on here and on Instagram, it is not perfect, as you guys just saw. So I hope this kind of makes you feel better about your own car, you know, not being perfect, because obviously we see our own cars in person, we're with them all the time, so we see all the little details and imperfections on it. But most of us don't really see other people's cars in person, only in pictures, and we only see what the picture shows, which doesn't always show the defects. So as usual, let me know what you guys think of all of these defects, and if you have any defects on your car, and any suggestions to getting rid of the defects that I showed you guys on this car. Maybe some of you guys have dealt with these. Just comment down below anything, your overall opinion on anything relating to BMWs. I'm open to hearing anything. I like talking about BMWs and cars and all that. So that is pretty much going to wrap up this video, you guys. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you guys for watching as always, and subscribe for more videos like this if you like what you saw. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video.